Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon everyone. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Zafira Sofwan. You can call me Zafira. And I want to introduce my member of group. There is Safira Sefriadi, Celia Sikagus Disiwi, and Ilham Fajar Maulana. And I want to explain about what is the definition of plot. Plot is an interrelated story in chronological order to show the intent of exciting storyline. Plot is the events that forms a significant patterns of action with a beginning, a middle, and an end. The plot is the story, and more specifically, how the story develops, unfolds, and moves a time. Plot actually as a storyline made by the reader in the form of a row of events in chronological order and are interconnected causality in accordance with what was happened to the perpetrator's story. So that's all about my explanation about what is the plot, and it will be continued by Sefira Sefriadi. She will be explained about elements of plot. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon everyone. My name is Sefira Sefriadi. I want to tell you about 5 elements of plot. The first is exposition or introduction. The second is rising action. The third is climax, and the fourth is falling action, and the last one is resolution or conclusion. So exposition or introduction is the beginning of the story, so the characters, background, and settings are revealed. And the second is rising action. Rising action is events in the story become complicated and the conflict is revealed. And the third is climax. Climax is the turning point of the story, so the readers will wonder what will happen next, and will the problem resolve or not. And the fourth is falling action. Falling action is the resolution begins, events and complications starts fall into place. And the last is resolution, or we can call it as the conclusion. So the resolution is the final outcome of the story, and the conflict in the story have been resolved. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, my name is Ilham. For those of you who don't know me, I'm from Group 5. I'm going to explain about types of plot. So there are 4 types of plot. It's dramatic or progressive, and episodic plot, and the third one is parallel plot. The fourth one is flashback plot. So that's a type of plot. So the first one we're going to discuss about dramatic or progressive plot. So that's basically like if you draw the line of what is dramatic plot is, it's like a mountain. You start from here and then go onto the top. That's the climax. This is the rising action, and then boom, it's down. Then that's it. That's the end. Now, you're going to talk about example of dramatic plot. Well, basically, almost every movie is dramatic plot, like Korean drama, or even movies that you've watched, like Harry Potter. Then you start from here, and then climax, boom. You kill the enemy, and that's the end, something like that. And then next one, episodic plot. Well, it's basically a chronological structure that consists of series, obviously related incidents. I mean, like then you start from this, and then that one. You got the first episode, climax, boom, and rising action, climax, blah 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 blah, and then it makes more like character development in the movie. So, for example, like Iron Man in Avengers, he's kind of playboy and arrogant person in the first film, but eventually changes himself into a more wise person, something like that. That's the episodic plot. Like, for example, like Avengers movie, and maybe another Korean drama like episodic. And then, oh yeah, the parallel plot. So this is a real kind of complicated plot because it consists of a different character, but they are in the same world, but different character. They don't know each other probably. If I want to give an example, like Chernobyl is a dramatized movie about nuclear accident in Pripyat, Soviet Ukrainian back at that time, 1987. So in this movie, they talk about several characters in different positions. So like scientist, Chernobyl liquidator. Liquidator is some kind of take care of that incident, and maybe scientist. Yes, scientist. I've said before. Politician. So they don't know each other, but in this movie they talk all about it. So they talk about different perspective of the character. So yeah, that's the parallel plot. They're in the same world but different character, different perspective, but they tell about one story. Next one, the flashback plot. This some kind of classic plot, flashback plot. So if you've seen a movie about a grown-up man and then they start to remind their past about something, maybe a war or anything, and then in the end they start to remember again, and that's the end, something like it. So it's like information about events that occurred earlier, something like it permits author to begin the story in the midst of the action, but later fill in the background for full understanding of the present events, something like this. So in order to understand the present, the authors make a flashback, the past event, something like that. If we talk about example, I really like this movie. It's called Saving Private Ryan. So when the movie start, the old veteran visit the grave, and then he start to remember his past, something like that. So that's all the types of plot.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Sally Chika Gusti Siwi Putri. I'm here, one of the presenter of fifth group, and we are going to present you about plot and its structure. As we know about the plot definition, now we are jump to the plot can be related to genre. At least there are 7 genres that can be related to plot. The first one is overcoming the monster. In this case, the protagonist should defeat a monster or force the monster to save some people. This plot can be found in Star Wars movie and Harry Potter. And the second is rags to riches. The story can begin with the protagonists being poor or rich, but at some point the protagonist will have everything, lose everything, and then again it all back in the end. For example, we can find this plot in Cinderella and Jane Eyre. And the third is the quest. In this plot, the protagonist embarks on a quest involving travel and in dangerous adventures in order to find treasure or solve a huge problem. Usually, the protagonist is forced to begin the quest, but makes friends that help face the many tasks and obstacles along the way. So, this plot can be found in The Lord of the Rings and the Iliad. And then the fourth genre is voyage and return. For voyage and return, the protagonist goes a journey to a strange or unknown place, facing danger and adventures along the way, returning home with experience and understanding. This is also a version of the monomyth. And for the example of this plot can be found in Alice in Wonderland. And the fifth is comedy. It's a common genre that we can find in every literature cases. Comedy is a happy and fun characters finds a happy ending after triumphing over difficulties and adversities. This plot can be found in Fantastic Mr. Fox and Home Alone. As we know, Home Alone is a favorite movie in a holiday for everyone. And the next is tragedy. The protagonist experiences a conflict which leads to every bad ending, typically death. The tragedy can be found in some story and also movie like Romeo and Juliet and the others. And the last is rebirth. The protagonist is a villain who becomes a good person through the experience of the story's conflict. For the example of this plot can be found in The Secret Garden and The Grinch. I think that's all that I can explain to you. Thank you for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.